Let's get into all right. The third round pick, round 3.
Yay!
Pick 6, which is ironic because he's a corner.
Yeah.
Hey, he got his first. He got his first pick 6. He didn't get one in college. 70th overall. And for those of you wondering, because I'll be the first one to tell you, listen, I do a lot of stuff as far as film watching and stuff like that on mute because I don't want to hear the commentators, I should say. You look at his name and like, how do you pronounce it? It's just Andrew, like mine. Andru, though, instead of Andrew. So Andrew, you see people call him Drew Phillips, corner out of Kentucky. I know you're liking that music. It's good music. I like it.
May have been. Whatever.
Yes, it's nice. I can give you a whole 3-minute thing if you want to. So, guys, this is where if you watch the show on a regular basis, again, we try not to be the crazy negative people at that point, but we also try not to be the butt kissers who sit there and know what Joe Sheen had for breakfast or Brian Dable had for breakfast. We try to keep it realistic with you guys with what our true opinions are.
But our noses were in the air on this pick. Oh my god!
What?
So our noses were in the air. Our noses were in the air. Our noses were in the air. We were not kissing any butts. We were not up any butts. And we weren't investigating because, my God, Andrew, he came out of left field.
You know what? And he came out of left field, but I feel like we had a much lower grade on him than most people did. A lot of people had like a second, third round pick grade on him. So it was left field for us, not necessarily left field for most people. I should clarify that.
Yes, correct.
Now we didn't do a draft profile on Andru Phillips when we're doing all of our profiles. And again, if you want to see it in profiles, they have like 150, 160, 170. I forgot, I lost track what number we did, but they're all individually out there on YouTube. And the main reason why, when we were doing research on these corners, guys, I gotta say he was on the list and got booted from it because I didn't like the tape. Point blank, didn't like it. And there's issues here, guys. But he's also very raw. So let's go into the whole thing here. So again, out of Kentucky, 6 foot even, 187 pounds, 22 years old. 2022, 13 games, 31 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 5 passes deflected. 23, 12 games, 47 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 5 passes deflected, and a 71.7 PFF grade. Here's one thing I look at with this stuff. I look at targets, I look at catches, I look at that kind of stuff there. In 22, let's go over that first here. 22, he was targeted 32 times. Not a lot. Only had 220 coverage snaps though. He wasn't a full-time player. So 32 times he was targeted there. 15 catches. 120 yards given up. QBs, when they threw against him, had a passer rating of 56.8. That's damn good.
That's hella great.
This past year, he finally gets a chance to start. Now, keep in mind, he's 22 years old, guys. This is not a 20-year-old player like Neighbors. This is a guy who did his full 4 years in college. Gets to start the 4th year finally, after being a backup basically for 3 years. I mean, he was a key component still. I'm not saying he never saw the field, but he wasn't the full-time guy. It wasn't your star. They kind of put him in that role this year. So this year he jumps up to 422 coverage snaps, almost twice as many as the prior year. 57 times he was targeted, 38 catches, 434 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gave up a passer rating to QBs of 106.9. That's bad, guys. That's really not good at all. Now, as far as the pros and cons against him, very good against the run, which, by the way, when I put that as the first note for pros, that's not good, guys. Very good against the run. It's a corner. That's not usually the first good thing you want to hear. He is very good also in zone coverage.
He stops the runner from going over 10 yards per carry.
Zone coverage is definitely his thing. He's also not bad in off-man coverage. And he also plays bigger than he actually is. There's tape of him at the Senior Bowl going against bigger receivers. People love it because they see him going up. People, not backing down, even though he's obviously giving up some pounds and some inches. That doesn't sound good. Anyway,
well,
but
don't tell your wife.
Here's the problems with him. One, he doesn't have recovery speed. If he makes a mistake, he's done. Chances are whoever he's covering is probably going to be faster than him. He doesn't have that elite athleticism like that. He's got wasted steps. Now, when you're in your back pedal, when you're making motions and you're taking extra steps to do it, that slows you down. When you're not the fastest guy to begin with, that's the rest.
It really slows you down.
Yes. So one thing I really like about this is I have a lot of faith in Jerome Henderson. I'm a huge fan of Jerome Henderson, guys. I have said that from the get-go. I said they could have hired him to be the DC. I would have been happy. I would have had no issue with that whatsoever. We talked about we hired Deonte Banks last year. We weren't a fan of him. Not that we weren't a fan of the player overall. We weren't a fan of where he was drafted. We thought it was a little early because of the fact that we thought he was the guy who had all the athleticism without the production. That's something that the Giants do like, though. I'm going to say that right now. It'll be a theme when we talk about a couple players coming up. Athleticism, potential, not production. It's almost like they go, well, this team didn't use him right. This team didn't know how to coach him up. And they had the confidence to think they can do it. Which, by the way, no offense to Dable, but he does strike me as the guy who's got an ego like that. And I'm cool with it. Listen, have the ego.
Isaiah Hodgins?
I could see him like with a big old cigar to smoking going, yeah, I could fix that.
100%. You know exactly. Damn well that's what he does.
And I have
an back there like,
he just strikes me as the guy who smokes cigars.
He definitely does. He goes,
he's that stogie guy. But
yeah, you see Hodgins, they only use him as that corner over here. He curls back. No, you got to put him slant. He'd be good. All right, let's pick him up. All right, we got off for the minute. Let's go.
Yeah. And it's not that I dislike Phillips as a player for us, because I like the fact that we have that confidence. I like the fact that we had a track record now because we did that with Banks. Banks grew. Banks, I thought, got better as the year went on. He went through a little stretch through CB1. He kind of took a little lumps then. But for the most part, he did pretty good. And he's going to have to be CB1 this year. But now we get Phillips, who's another project, basically. And you're going to have to coach him up. You're going to have to get him ready at that point there. He's extremely raw because he basically started 1 year. And then the other issue is what we talked about it kind of jokingly at the beginning. No interceptions, guys. We already had a Dory Jackson for how many years? It was not the guy to get interceptions. He was a coverage guy. I've said forever, and I'll stick by it. My biggest thing is stop the receiver from catching the ball. That's your job.
Yeah.
But it's a nice bonus when you can catch it. It's a nice bonus. I like bonuses. I'm greedy.
Oh.
I want a bonus.
SWAT. Oh, how about turnover?
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Ask the Cowboys what that difference is right now.
Yeah, but also Diggs also likes to give up big yard plays.
I understand that. I'm just saying. But I'm not even saying him because he got injured, but Bland is the guy I'm talking about there. It's like, he had what? How many pick sixes this year? So, 5. I had to look it up real quick because I couldn't remember off the top of my head. 5. But yeah, he's raw. That's my only issue. Is you got a guy that was raw at a position of need and a prime position in this draft. When I do think there was better options out there.
Yeah.
So again, we said that about Banks. We have no issues with Banks right now. They did good in coaching him up. He looked very good this year. So just because we have that opinion doesn't mean we're right.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I see Andrew as the lower tier banks, which is okay because if you get
poor
to
man's
number one,
Banks, which is like just sounds funny because he's Banks.
Yeah, but I mean, you already got to number one. You already got to number one, so like you don't need to have.
You're searching for two.
Yeah. Yes.
But what I don't like is you already have a number one that let's be going to be very honest here. He's going to need some work this year because he still has to step up to number one. He had little issues with that last year towards the end of the year. And we have some really, really good receivers in this division. Between A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, Scary Terry. I mean, there's not a team on this in this division that doesn't have good receivers. Plus we're playing the NFC South this year, I believe, right? Do we not? Yes. So, they have some good receivers. We're going to play some damn good receivers this year. I'm telling you that right now. He's going to need, if he's going to be number two, he's going to have to step it up a little bit, Phillips, is because it's going to be work to get Banks to number one. And that's my issue is you're taking on two projects at once. So I hope Jerome Henderson's up for it. They gave him the extra money, the extra title. He's got to be up for it. Like I said,
let's hope so.
If they can do a zone coverage scheme with him, which I think they will, because I think Banks was better in his zone myself as well with that. That's when he started getting a couple interceptions and all last year. I think you'll see a lot of more zone coverage this year than last year because the guy who stopped us from doing that on a regular basis is gone. You're gone, Wink.
Correct.
So I think it's going to play into what he does, and I think
especially when we drafted Banks last year too, we talked about like how much better he's in zone than man to man, and we talked about his athleticism. But you got that again. Now you got, you got rid of the defensive coordinator that's going to say, "Hey, you got to cover this guy," instead of being like, "Hey, be in this area and just stop the ball."
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he has the ability. And he's good at reading plays. He's good at moving around near the receivers at that point without getting flags. He's good. It's not that I think he's poop. I just think we bought gold at silver pricing. Reverse that. Sorry, we bought silver at gold pricing. We just drafted him too early, in my opinion. Again, in mind, there's plenty of people that like him. I just think that I watch the film and I see mistakes and I go, "Oh, gotta fix that. It's like, when you go like house shopping and it's like you get this really nice house. It's like, oh, this is a bigger house than I expected to get. But then you go inside and there's all these issues with it.
Yeah.
But then you go to like a smaller house that's perfect. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Just walk right in. I just go into this with no problem. But yeah, that's the kind of dilemma. I feel like we bought basically two larger houses that need a lot of work. It's got to be an issue. Jerome Henderson can only be at one place at a time. So I just hope the two of them together put into the work because they got the physical tools to actually succeed in this league, and we end up with a really nice young combo that basically for the next 4 years is going to be cheap.
Super cheap.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.